guys, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of Music Row Hideout, the show where we hang out with artists, musicians, and entertainers in Waylon Jennings' old basement studio. My name is Jury, and as always, I'm gathered here today with co-host Ryan Poole, who I'll pass it to introduce the guest.
Well, tonight, on a very special episode of Music Row Hideout.
How special? How special, Ryan? You can't say that every episode.
Top special. I think I said that like the first episode because I didn't know what to do, and then I just kept saying it, and I think it's funny every time I say it. Tonight is actually a special episode because tonight's episode was postponed. Not by 1 week, not by several weeks, but by several years. Tonight we have Mark Siegel, producer and engineer to the stars, tour manager, man of many hats, probably a musician, soon to be an artist, guy who does trailer work, and tour manager.
People are like, trailer work? Wow, like he's a man of hard like labor.
Custom trailers and
Siegel's Trailers. You ever heard of it? Best trailers in Nashville.
yeah, well, they're small houses, they're tiny homes.
Yeah,
not
tiny
not
homes.
trailers. Obviously, come on, have some class.
And we were supposed to do this episode back in early 2020, but
Yeah.
for obvious reasons we didn't. And then we just stopped doing the podcast altogether, and we kept saying, "Hey, we're gonna back anytime." I remember there was a while when I would be Instagram messaging you like, "Hey, sorry, we're on a little bit of a delay because of this COVID thing. We'll talk soon." And then it was like, "Hey, we're on a hiatus. I'll let you know when we start again." And 2 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
And then it did also get delayed again because of COVID.
Oh yeah,
Because my wife,
Oh, that's right. We were
his
supposed to
sister.
do this earlier this week. That's right.
right?
true.
She got COVID
Ryan's
last
like,
week.
Yeah, COVID again. I was like, man, you guys just don't want me on the show. Everybody uses COVID now as an excuse.
Yeah, it's just the
Like
get out of
airlines
jail
are
free
like,
card.
we don't give food out anymore because COVID.
Walmart
well, no.
closes.
Yeah,
Like-
so it's like
Wait, what? Walmart closes early
COVID
because of COVID?
Well, I mean, I think I was going to say early, but just even like Walmart closes is enough of a statement because there was a lot of
Yeah.
Walmarts that never did.
Absolutely, yeah.
But now,
That's what made
closed.
Walmart.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, for the record, I did take a test and got a negative result. So, we good.
It's funny because people don't care anymore.
Yeah, people I'm like, is the pandemic over?
And the virus hasn't changed. Like,
Right.
I mean, it has mutated.
Sure.
But it's funny, our attitude towards it has completely changed.
Yeah.
And we're like, no big deal.
Yeah. Well, I think I
You're
read
positive? I mean, I've had it.
that we're at
Right.
like 60%
Yeah.
vaccinated or something. Which, however you feel about that's however you feel about that.
Yeah.
But,
I
but
mean,
I'm sure that helps.
I'm proud that we're even that far vaccinated in
Right?
this country, to be honest. But yeah, it's funny because I'm noticing now, especially with like songwriting sessions and meetings and concerts, people just don't care anymore. Even if somebody close to them is like, "Oh, my friend just tested positive and we were together the other day," or "My wife just tested positive."
They're
And
like,
people are like, "Oh yeah, no, it's all right." I literally felt that way the other night when you were like, "Oh, we're gonna have to postpone again." My co-host's wife got COVID, and I was like, "Dude, that's fine."
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I almost, there's two funny things. One funny thing is, I also felt like it was fine. But you
I mean,
care
it's-
about people.
Yes.
Well,
And
I care about people, and you're just a dick, I guess. I don't know. but on top of that, I also take COVID a little more seriously than your average Joe.
And I know
because
this.
I still am suffering like a year later from
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a crazy COVID effect where
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all food tastes like
Oh
garbage.
yeah,
to
I'm
me.
right there with you. I lost my sense of smell for about like full on sense of smell for about a year and a half, and it ruined me, completely ruined me because
You were a
I'm a
professional
foodie.
sniff taster.
Well, you know one thing about me that most people know is I'm obsessed with coffee. Love coffee. I became a coffee snob. And
Oh,
like,
is this the guy who got you into
Pour-over.
pour over?
Yeah.
probably
I remember
that
you-
sounds
'cause-
like me.
'cause
Guilty.
I remember you saying when you came back from that tour, you're all of a sudden now super into pour over.
Yeah.
Like, and you're talking about like, they have like, the
that's
scale.
Yeah,
and
that sounds like me.
That's you.
Yeah.
But shout out, it took me a really long time to get into it because I didn't want to buy all the things until
yeah,
Wesley bought me a Chemex for my birthday. Best,
Game changer.
Best friend ever.
Game changer.
Screw you, Jerry.
And then you can never go back. But that was the one thing I noticed when I got COVID, which I got the OG one, like right when it was
The
cool to
first-
have.
the first release.
Because people
Classic.
are like, "Man, you might die." And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a chance. This is way before vaccines came out. And I lost my sense of smell first. I had like 2 really bad days of just being out of commission. And I rarely get sick, but it took me out. No sense of smell. I was hearing most people were getting their sense of smell back 2-3 weeks later, worst case a month. And that ruins your taste, obviously, as well. Month goes by, 2 months goes by, 3 months goes by, and I'm like, I'm just going to have to learn to live like this. So and then I was reading about a handful of people that had this problem where it lasts for 3 to 4 months.
Right.
So I waited.
So at that 4-month mark, you're excited. You're like, here it comes.
Nope. Did not come back. And it actually messed with me enough where I did feel like I was actually starting to like have some depression from it because I was not tasting food when I really love food. And I got used to it, but it messed with my head mentally for sure.
Dude, that's like long enough to feel like maybe it will never come back.
Yeah, I assumed when I hit the year mark with like just no smell, nothing at all, I was pretty certain. I was like, this is the rest of my life, and I have to adjust and learn to live like this. And it sucks, but there's worse things. I just had to keep telling myself. And then about 3 months later, Shannon, my fiance, and I went down to Honest Coffee here in Franklin, and we sat there, and I took a sip of the coffee, and it was like it was early spring, and the like sun was out. We're sitting outside on the patio with a dog who we love. She's like our child. And I took a sip of the coffee, and I could taste like the notes of the coffee, and I just started bawling my eyes out.
Wow.
Like
I believe it.
Legit crying. She started crying, and I was like, this is awkward. There's strangers around us, like something's happening.
But the thing is, some people can't understand unless they've done that, gone through
and yeah, so that was like my first hint of sense of smell and taste coming back, and it just kind of proved how important those senses are. You don't think about them a lot until you don't have them. And it's been a journey since. It's now been, 2.5 years since I've had it, and it's still weird. Things still taste different. Things still smell different, and there are still some things that I don't smell. And ironically, one of those is like dog poop, which is not a terrible thing.
Yeah. That reminds
but we'll
me
be
of that
like,
movie. Did you ever see that movie? It was like, it got really bad reviews, but it was maybe 10 years ago, and Ben Stiller and maybe Vince Vaughn, someone like that, found a way. Oh, Jack Black.
Oh, Jack Black?
Jack Black.
You're talking about Poopery.
Yes.
Yeah, what movie was that?
When they make poop disappear.
That was like 20 years ago.
It's Vaporize was their
You're right. Poopery is an actual real product.
yes.
Yeah, they came up with a product.
We have those on our toilets at home.
You sprayed it on poop, on mostly dog poop, and it instantly disappeared.
Yeah, that was with Colin Hanks. Was in that.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I think so.
I never saw it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a funny Jack Black. And the whole controversy in the movie was like, where does it all go?
Right.
Yeah.
It's being stored somewhere in the cloud.
In the cloud.
But anyway, it's like you got that gift.
Yeah. Well, it feels and sounds like a gift, but it's funny because we'll be like, just the other night we were out with our dog, and this is gonna show who I am, but we have a Bernese Mountain Dog, and we have a Bernese Mountain Dog group now in Nashville called Nashville Burners that we started, and we do an event once a month. It's a blast, great people. But we were out, and somebody that was like standing next to me was like, "Oh, I think somebody stepped in poop." I was like, "Crap, it's probably me because I can't smell it. Look at my shoes; they're perfectly clean." I was like, "Thank God."
Good.
Yeah.
But then everybody else around us started going,
"Oh, the movie's called Envy."
Huh.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. Thanks, though, Wes. Literally everybody around me started going like, "Yeah, somebody definitely stepped in poop," and I was like, "I don't smell a thing."
So this is working nicely into a little operating theory I've got going on here. It's more of a question.
Yeah.
But I asked Jury the same but opposite question when we had a whole episode about.
Well, hold on.
his
Should I
smell
explain
things.
what my thing is? Because it's definitely different.
Not yet.
Okay.
After this.
I'll have to go back and listen to this.
My
episode,
comment's
'cause I'll
silly, and you have something real to say. I was just gonna say, is it possible that you're not actually regaining smell, but your brain has like learned to like put smells to things?
Yes.
Like the memories of smells.
So I did a lot of research when I was going through this, as I'm sure you did, Jerry, because like it's kind of traumatizing. But I kind of looked into it, and yes, from what I could tell, the virus does, when it does it like full on, like when I lost complete sense of smell, it does actually kill some of the nerves that our noses use to the olfactory, as my fiance called it, your old factory nerves. We were trying everything. We tried these weird massages that we saw, and she's like, I'm going to massage your old factory nerves. And I was like,
get these old factories
gotta
back
get them
in shape. Repair them. They'll be good as new.
But
New
they
factories.
do regenerate in most people. But at the end of the day, it's also the neurons in your brain that are telling your brain what things are supposed to smell like. So when my smell came back and things started to smell wrong, that's when I was like, oh.
So, like, what kind of wrong?
Well, coffee, for instance, at first, which, again, one of my favorite smells, smelled like burning oil. Trying to think some of the other ones. Garlic and onions were horrible, which usually smell great when they're being cooked, which I love.
Some of the most delicious ingredients of all time.
Just smell like a completely different thing. The other ones that are very big are different actual scents that use oils, like colognes and perfumes. So the perfume that Shannon uses, I've noticed even still to this day, I remember that I liked it, and I remember kind of what it smelled like. But she puts it on now, and I know it's her favorite, so I don't say anything. But it's very, it almost smells like rotting citrus peels. So you're almost getting some other realm of whatever that scent is. I'm guessing there's probably a citrus hint to her perfume, but it smells awful. She puts it on every morning. And then the whole room smells like it.
But the cool thing is now you guys are engaged.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
That's just for the
So
rest
it's
of your
forever.
life.
Right, exactly. So what are some things that you deal with from a sense of smell issue?
Yeah. So mine functions a little bit differently than the ways yours is. So I did lose my taste and smell when I had COVID. And about 2 weeks later, they came back. And I was like, dope, this is over. This is amazing. I did feel like some things were still a little muted.
Quickly.
Like, so fast. But then 2
Dude,
months.
I got it back in like 4 days.
Yeah. But like 2 months later, literally overnight, all my taste changed. And I guess, so if you lose it, that's called insomnia.
Right.
And if it just gets all fucky, that's parosmia.
Yeah, parosmia.
Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
either.
That's right. Because I watched so many videos on it, but I was going around being like, I have paramecia.
Yeah, that's what I used to say too.
I don't know what that is, man, but it doesn't sound good.
So we have a 2-hour episode
where all we did
devoted
was
to
talk
this
about this.
called The Unbearable Weight of Parosmia.
Nice.
Yeah. And so when I first got it, I remember the very first thing, I had just made like burgers at home.
Yeah.
I took a bite of the burger and I was like, this meat's bad.
Yeah.
Threw it out.
Yep.
And everything I ate tasted bad. And I couldn't find anything to eat.
Yeah.
So I went to the kitchen and I grabbed just like water crackers, just like the most plainest.
Yeah.
I was like, perfect. Threw it in my mouth, almost threw up. Like just immediately.
Yeah.
And for months, and still now, though now it is lessening, which has been nice.
Yeah.
I remember the day I got soy sauce back. I was just like, oh, this is
Yeah.
so good. Like it was like a momentous occasion.
And it's funny too, because it messes with you to a point where you're also asking yourself, is it back or did I just get used to this?
Yeah, I've literally said that
Every
a million
day.
times.
Yep. And I've been saying that for like a year now, where I'm like, because people ask, they're like, man, did you ever get your smell back? Because people knew, right? Because we were like a year and a couple months in, and they're like, wait, you still don't smell anything? So it always comes up. And one of the things that I always say is, I'm like, I mean, it's back, and I think I'm tasting things properly now.
But you can't know.
You don't know. You think, oh, maybe I just got used to it, and my brain told myself that I like this now. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
But for me, all the tastes were, coffee, garlic, onions, and meat were the worst,
Yes.
right?
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, as soon as you said those, I was like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff, and I've noticed that with most people.
Garlic and onions, I'm still out on. 0% can eat those.
Really? I pounded through and was just like,
No, it
I'm
tastes
going to
like,
do this.
like rotting meat is what it
Yes.
tastes like.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, there was like a 6-month period where I couldn't eat anything except for rice and cheese and raw fish. Those are like the 3 things I found that I could eat. So I was getting sushi or poke bowls, raw fish and rice. And I was every day for lunch, I ate a bowl of rice with some cheese in it. Like that's all I ate.
Yeah.
I started like my hair started falling out, like my fingernails started crack. I was like malnutrition, like dying. And then my wife started buying all these supplements that are supposed to help. I take like 12 pills a day right now still.
Yeah.
Has the hair stopped?
The hair has stopped falling out, which has been nice. So I was like, maybe I'm just balding. That's what I thought too.
Sure.
But also I started taking that supplement that Co recommended, a friend of ours who also had hair falling out from COVID.
Yeah, that's normal. A lot of people are realizing that. I noticed my hair changed. It feels like it got thinner to an extent.
Definitely
more
felt that.
brittle. But I
Like
did
wispy?
notice, I noticed that it actually, it just felt different. It wouldn't do things that it used to be able to do if I was like styling it.
It's like old. It's like
It just
old
completely
crackhead hair.
changed. Yeah,
It's like all,
yeah.
it's like super weird.
People
and-
ask me why I wear hats all the time. It's because I have old crackhead hair now. Post COVID.
But still, like now, like I still can't eat most things.
Yeah.
But I have a few more things on my list. I still eat rice and cheese like most days. But
Man, so how long's it been?
so I got COVID in September. Not last month, a year from that.
Okay, yeah.
And then the parosmia started in December, which is weird. There's like this gap. And I looked it up. And apparently that's really common with
bizarre.
parosmia.
Well, and you got a different strain too.
Probably, yeah.
You got a weaker strain than I do.
Yeah, a little bitch strain.
Why are you being such a bitch, dude?
But it's wild. But like I haven't ran into anybody else who's had it for as long either. And you've had it even longer.
Well, and that's I haven't met anybody yet that has had the lack of taste and smell as long as I did. Although I did talk to somebody recently that said they knew somebody in their family or somebody they work with still doesn't have it, and it's been coming up on 3 years.
That's when you gotta be
So they got
scared.
it like right at the beginning of COVID, lost their sense of smell, and they still have nothing.
That's brutal.
Could this all
But-
be because of George Soros?
Oh God.
Tony,
Guys, I don't know.
didn't you end up when we first
yeah.
met? You ended up in a whole conversation about him.
No, I didn't. No chance, because here's here's the next thing I was going to say. I don't know who he is.
You just
or
know
what
the
he
name?
does. I just know that if you listen to podcasts, he will come up as
Yeah.
like maybe the root of evil.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
maybe
very little
he's
as
doing.
well.
I'm just throwing out ideas, you guys. Just
no.
brainstorming.
Just being proactive.
But I will say the one thing that is that other people like they don't really get it.
Yeah.
You know, like you get it.
Yeah.
And like we get it.
Yeah.
But like, it's so hard to get somebody else to like really understand what it is,
and how
how it affects you.
Yeah, how it really affects you. And I think that's the key for me in explaining that to people was when I really talk about, because it was all happening, and like even the period of COVID, like things business-wise and everything were great, surprisingly. Like the entertainment industry, whilst many parts of it, the touring part of it kind of shut down, people were wanting to release music. So I was producing record after record after record. And I was like in a really great place mentally, but that ruined all of that. Because for that whole year, while all these great things are happening, we got engaged at the beginning of COVID. So we experienced like all these great highs of life. And while I'm experiencing all those, I'm also dealing with this condition that sounds like it's not that big of a deal. Obviously, you're like, there's worse things.
Yeah, you're like you can't taste, you can't
Right.
smell. Like all right,
But it completely messes with your mental health way more than you think. And I'm very thankful to have whatever my smell and taste is now that it's back. I'm happy about that. Whether it's correct or not, I don't know. but I will say, like, I enjoy coffee again. I enjoy cooking and food again, and that to me is a big deal.
Yeah, coffee's still out for me. Cold iced coffee, if it's got a shit ton of sugar in it.
Yeah,
will work.
Well, and that's funny. I don't put anything in my coffee.
I normally don't either. I always drink it black.
Iced helped.
Iced, yeah, the heat makes it worse. But yeah, garlic. I want meat back. Like I've been able to eat a little meat now. I mean, raw fish has always been fine. But I also found super weird. The one beef I can eat is McDonald's hamburgers because they're probably not real beef at all.
Well, luckily for you, you're only eating rice for lunch most days, so you can just pound back that McDonald's.
It's like not a big deal. Yeah. But so that's the only meat besides raw fish I've eaten in a year. Like, it's brutal. Yeah. I did find a pizza I could eat. It had a cauliflower crust and it was all cheese, no sauce.
Yeah, pizza was a rough one for me as well.
I miss pizza so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from Jersey, so pizza's a big deal. When that came back, I was like, we're good, guys.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
So far this episode's called I Miss Pizza, so I think I might want to ask you a music question.
Yeah, you know I can talk about this for literal hours.
We're informing people on important things. We're going to have that disclaimer that they put.
Yeah, we get the COVID banner now. Yeah, we just
well, congrats, guys. We got the COVID. Mission accomplished. I'll see you guys later.
Try to get that once an episode. So I have like so many thoughts, but I'll just skip to you guys should start a support group. Like
I think that's a great idea, actually.
I'm on the Reddit. There's like a bunch of people on Reddit.
Is there a Reddit? I was going to say, there's got to be like a Discord server.
And it's everyone just saying how terrible their life is.
Yeah, it's like, that's probably not the most healthiest place.
And there's always one person coming in being like, here's like the things that helped me. And they're like just nonsense. Yeah. And you're just like, all right.
Dude, I tried every single one of those nonsense things.
It's always like chiropractic.
Yeah. Well, there is a lot of that. And some of it makes sense. And that's why I said, like, we tried the different like massage techniques and like chiropractic things, and we're listening to these YouTube chiropractors. And like Shannon would come home, I'd be like, I got something new for you to try. And she'd be like walking on my back, and the weird one was, I don't know if you tried this one. It reminded me how you just did that, but she was like walking on my back, but I had to like cover my eyes.
What?
I don't remember what it was. It was so bizarre.
And did it help?
I had to put a blindfold on.
But did it help though?
I had to hold a nut.
Wanted to try new things in your relationship, and this is a good excuse.
It was very bizarre. It was so weird, and like we were laughing doing it, but I was so desperate that I was sitting there with these weird like hand movements and just being like, go. Hit my olfactory nerves.
Now, before you ask your music question, this is important.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the stellate ganglion block?
No.
So this is an injection that apparently they use for PTSD. It's like something to treat it.
Okay.
But people have found it can almost instantly cure this. Maybe.
Yeah.
So there's a few different doctors doing it, but the one who's like made it famous.
Do they use it on horses?
No, no horses. Humans only. But there's this one doctor in like Florida or something, of course, willing to try anything. And he has like a 65% success rate with parosmia specifically. But I assume they're related. So it's an injection you get in your neck, and some people like cures it instantly. But other people can take up to 10 injections, and some people it doesn't work at all. The problem is it's not covered by insurance, and it's like $3,000 an injection. Yeah. So
I probably would have paid it if I still didn't have sense of smell. I would need some sort of guarantee that it's going to work for me to drop that kind of money on an injection.
Because it could take up to 10. Is the thing, you know, right?
But that's how desperate I was, for sure.
Yeah, and like when I first started this, I had just quit my job to like go back to school for 6 months for this like to get a for a software program, and like I was broke. Still am. I'm still like now I have a job and out of school and making great money, but it's like that's still a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
And like so I haven't done it yet, but it's on my list.
Well, I hope it comes back for you, man.
I hope it comes back by itself without me having to drop a bunch of money.
Yeah. Well, it's either that or I hope your brain just figures itself out and tells you this is life now and I enjoy this kind of meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I love
whatever
meat taste.
All right, you can ask your music question.
Yeah. Oh, I did also want to say, this all came about because we were talking about like how COVID's no big deal anymore, but like then right.
We were still in the introduction.
Yeah,
Remember before the show when I said I was stronger?
Yeah. Oh God.
So I did want to say, I threw you under the bus and was like, I don't think it's a big deal either. I actually really respect that it's a big deal for you, and I know why, because we had a 2-hour episode where
Absolutely.
so I get it. I don't fault anybody, and I think you're the same way. I don't think I fault anybody for like having an opinion about COVID one way or the other.
No.
I think everybody's allowed to make the choices for their life that they feel like are right.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mark's a producer and
He's just cutting out the last 30 minutes.
Good to have
Former
you.
parosmia sufferer.
Good to have you on the show, Mark. Just
Thanks,
kidding.
man. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
by the way.
absolutely. And that makes it. What's funny is like you haven't been on the show before, so you don't know that like. I mean, as far as you know, that was like this wild tangent we did, and like, wow, but like that's every week. Like, it's supposed to do that.
Working as intended.
Yeah, it
Well, we're
worked.
just living in this weird period right now too,
It's
right?
super
Where
weird.
it's affected so
Yeah.
many parts of everybody's lives that it kind of makes for some really interesting stories.
Yeah, for
Some
sure.
more interesting than others, and some more positive than others.
Some
but-
people are just bad storytellers. They
Yeah,
keep it
well, that's true.
themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've got a good story.
We'll see.
My story is it's time for you to play a song and show people who
Wow.
you are, what you do.
All right.
Yeah, it's actually that wasn't a good story. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're actually a pretty garbage storyteller.
Yeah, that was trash. Just like your guys' sense of smell.
Nice.
At least I can smell shit.
Man, that's not funny to joke about.
But anyway, okay, so give us just like a quick snippet about what this is, and then like let's play it, and then let's talk about it.
Yeah. Ironically, post-COVID, in that time frame, I think kind of like what I mentioned before, but so many artists were wanting to release music all of a sudden, right? They couldn't tour. So things got really, really busy studio-wise, and I felt like I was writing mostly over Zoom 4 days a week and producing records through the week and through the weekend at that point because there were deadlines and everybody was wanting songs. And there are so many artists that I love working with, but what I started to realize during COVID was there were a handful of artists that I really collaborated with well, and that were kind of like figuring out who they were. And that's very much who I am as a producer. I love artist development. So for me, I enjoy working with artists that are like not really sure who I am yet and what that means sonically. I love the business side of this industry as well, which is rare to find the creative and business side interesting. So I've kind of found myself in this place where I'm a producer that really likes to spend time with artists sifting through who they are and what their sound is and how that looks as a visual, because all that matters, right? Because you're creating a brand as an artist, and as a producer, you're kind of the producer of building that brand. So I just started spending a little bit more time, I think, with these artists because of COVID, because things were kind of dead. There wasn't anything else to do. So we were doing a lot more time in the studio or on Zoom, spending time figuring out like who you are, what you sound like. And this is one of those artists that I've really grown to love, and we've written a ton of songs together. We vibe really well together. And we kind of stumbled upon her sound pretty quickly. I think she knew who she was. She just couldn't figure out how to get it to, let's say, tape, right?
Yeah.
We know it's not tape anymore. It could be here.
Yeah, I have tape.
Yep. Yeah. And we ended up stumbling
Speak
upon
for
a couple.
yourself, Mark.
we ended up stumbling on a couple songs that she had already had written that I heard, and I was like, I love these. Like, let's dig into them. Let's figure it out. And we ended up recording her whole EP, which is still releasing to this day. And we're also still writing, but she's having a lot of success right now, and people are really loving her. And that is the best part of producing. Seeing the songs played on radio, seeing their reactions, and seeing the artists react to people when they get playlisted, or people, even if they don't get playlisted, people reacting to their songs on social media. There's something about being on the backside of that I love, watching their reactions. So this artist, her name's Abigail Osborne. She is a Nashville artist, very much in the indie pop realm. We kind of, like I said, we spent a lot of time figuring out what her sound was, and I think we stumbled upon something really cool.
Awesome.
All right.
So this song came out, I think 2 months ago now. It's called Gonna Get Over You.
Don't know how you crashed a party from 1,000 miles away. It hardly even crossed my mind these days. Out with my friends, almost forgotten what it felt like hearing my name coming out your mouth. You said you wouldn't let me down again, till you showed up uninvited. Now you're stealing all the light that I was on my way to finding, leaving all your games behind. If you only knew the ways that you control me, how I hate it. Maybe you enjoy the rush of never letting go of us. I was right there on the brink of it. I was doing just fine, come to think of it, till you pulled me right back. Why did you have to do that? Thinking it through, did you mean to call? You set me right up for another fall, like you always do. I was gonna get over you. I was gonna get over you. Hadn't seen your name light up my phone in over half a year. I should've known to let it ring. You knew I'd end up answering. That's how you showed up uninvited. Now you're stealing all the light that I was just about to use. Are you ever gonna cut me loose? If you only knew the ways that you control me, how I hate it. I think you enjoy the rush of never letting go of us. I was right there on the brink of it. I was doing just fine, come to think of it, till you pulled me right back. Why did you have to do that? Thinking it through, did you mean to call? You set me right up for another fall, like you always do. I was gonna get over you. I was gonna get over you. Till you showed up out of nowhere, just to check in, like you might care. Talk about a sad excuse. All you think about is you. I was right there on the brink of it. I was doing just fine, come to think of it, till you pulled me right back. Why did you have to do that? Thinking it through, did you mean to call? You set me right up for another fall, like you always do. I was gonna get over you. I was right there on the brink of it. I was doing just fine, come to think of it, till you pulled me right back. Why did you have to do that? Thinking it through, did you mean to call? You set me right up for another fall, like you always do. I was gonna get over you. I was gonna get over you.
Sweet. That was fucking sick, dude.
Thanks, bro.
You're really
Yeah, that was
good
a cool
at music. Okay. I want to say so many things. I don't know how many of them I'll remember. Okay. Yeah, right there at the end, just because it's fresh on my mind. You really fucked with me, not giving me that drop. I know that was intentional.
Anti-chorus, bro.
Yeah. Did you come in on the 2 for your downbeat? Okay. Yeah, so I was waiting for that.
Yep.
That's
Yeah, because the chorus starts on the 1, but then goes to the 2. So we cut out the 1 instrumentally and then came back in on the 2.
nice. Okay. I'll say this is, I don't know, this is like maybe a faux pas, so you don't have to like admit to anything, but or say like acknowledge this, but
Yeah.
it kind of reminded me, the chorus kind of reminded me of that Katy Perry song. Just because it's over doesn't mean it's really over. I don't know how the song goes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I heard it like once.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I heard that song, I was like, this is way cooler than Katy Perry should
Oh,
be.
man, thank you.
But this
That's
was
definitely not a reference I've ever had with Abigail, so that's actually killer.
okay. Cool.
Because she is
I was
very
just
much
like, if you patterned it on that,
Yeah,
and you're
no.
like, whoops.
No, actually, Abigail's so good at, from a writing perspective, really delivering her melody. Like, even as, because when I start most of her songs, if I didn't write them with her, they're usually either very basic demos or even just like voice memo, acoustic guitar on her. And her voice is so powerful without being like physically powerful. And it's got this really cool character to it. So her voice really steers a lot of those hooks so clearly that the production just kind of does itself. And then I think one of the reasons we work so well together is we both love live instrumentation. That's very much me as a producer. I am a pop producer mostly that very much incorporates live instrumentation because that's who I am.
And you're a guitar player, right?
I kind of play everything. I'm actually a drummer first and foremost. Most people
really?
don't know that. I toured for 8 to 10 years as a professional musician and played guitar, bass, keys, never drums. But my primary instrument
It was drums all along. Yeah.
all along. And
Same.
most people I've worked with to this day probably don't even know I'm a drummer, but it's so helpful as a producer. You know this. So I program the way that I typically build out my productions, especially percussively, is I'll build my loop because of pop specifically, but a lot of the tops, hi-hats, tambos, all that kind of stuff, I'll program. And even usually, this is a great example even in Gonna Get Over You, but the drum groove feels very busy. But if I soloed, and you can go back and see these breakdown videos on my Instagram, which I just started doing, but if I solo the actual drum kit, it's do, da, do. It's very basic because all of the like digital, I like to split the digital stuff up top and then have real drums as like the meat, right? So that's just typically how I. Yep, that's
And
typically how I
the thing that's
program.
really rhythmic that's happening is the bass, the synth bass.
And Kyle Whalen, by the way, played that bass part, and he is.
What do you play it on?
Huh?
What do you use?
That's real bass.
Oh, okay, cool.
Those are all bass guitar parts. He's well, okay, so there's your Katy Perry, because Kyle Whalen plays for Katy Perry.
Oh, really?
He's Katy Perry's
He's
bassist.
like, he didn't let you know, but he's
like,
"Katy
I'm
has
gonna-
this
yeah."
song we do. I can really phone this shit in.
there's where you heard it. Kyle plays for Katy. He also plays for Kelly Clarkson. One of my favorite go-to session guys to use. I remotely sent it to him. I had played a pretty rough version of that. Of what I wanted, and then he
made
sent
it
it
cool.
back with just these beautiful licks in it, and I use that kind of as my focal point to drive the chorus.
What did you use for the big tom sound? Is that
It's a splice tom. Pretty sure it's from the Oliver pack. I think Oliver Power Tools.
cool?
They've got a lot of really cool like 80s sounding drums in there. And I had the tom fill, right? Like I actually used an actual just well recorded tom that I had from another session I did, and I just programmed that tom and then just like pitch shifted each tom to get my concept across. And I was like, ooh, I love this like Phil Collins big tom fill. We need it. Abigail loved it. So I was like, all right, if we're going to go for this, I need to execute what those toms are. And I A-B'd, C-D'd, E-F-G'd a lot of different tom sounds. And those ones that I landed on were like really dry, really flat, still digital sounding, but also still had a little bit of like realism to them. And I literally went through all of the stuff that I've recorded, samples of my own, and then like tons of different splice samples, and I landed on those, and they were stellar. They became like a signature sound of the song.
Yeah, they sounded great.
Thanks, man.
Another song it kind of reminds me of, it's something else in the vein, is St. Lucia, Walking on Glass. They do there's some similar elements. Anyway, I don't know, for somebody listening, I don't think you would take offense to this. As somebody like listening,
No.
I feel like,
I don't take offense to anything, honestly.
true. I mean,
My ego.
We'll see about that.
Yeah.
you got
when
the
it comes to
COVID-19 thing,
yeah,
and you're just like so laissez-faire.
I just really only take offense to parosmia jokes. It's like,
Smelling
Yeah.
so-and-so.
I've noticed that I don't really take I'm such a collaborator too, and I've noticed that in this town. Like I love working with other producers and writers and this and that. I just don't have this, like, it doesn't hurt my ego if you're like, man, I just don't think you're the right producer for me. And that's because every artist is going to find a producer that works for them. Maybe my style of production isn't for you. And at the end of the day, I'm spending the time trying to figure out who you are as an artist, right? So what I did for Abigail is very different than what I've done for any of these other artists that I work with.
Yeah.
Because I'm obviously focused on who they are as an artist. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm going to produce in a certain way, and that may just not be the way so-and-so likes to work. And that's fine.
100%.
That doesn't mean we won't be good collaborators. We can still write a good song together. And that's why I'm like, I never get frustrated when people are like, my management's going to kill me when I say this, but like, if you want stems from like a little demo I did for a writing session because you're going to another producer, here you go. Take them. Because I'd rather that song see the light of day than sit on my damn hard drive.
Just get
You know what I
lost
mean?
forever.
Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of, I've noticed that over the past couple of years. Like I'm so tired of great songs getting stuck on hard drives because their label's just not ready to put that one out. Or they have like 30 other songs lined up. And then by the time that song comes out, it's not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with artists that are like, I just want to release these songs. And that's something that I was amped about with Abigail specifically. She's like, once we have the like first 6 done, she's like, we're just going to go 1 song a month. And I just want to put them out there. No label support. Just a plan to put music out there. She put it through an independent distributor, and every single song so far has been playlisted. Fresh
That's awesome.
Finds, Fresh Finds Pop, New Music Friday,
It's rad.
Chill Pop. Like, so again, back to the point, like my favorite thing about being a producer is that seeing something you've done for somebody else see success. There's such a joy in that. I get way more joy out of that than I would get seeing like my own thing or my own name pop off in something.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we work in an industry where if Abigail's doing well and those songs are doing well, obviously I'm doing well as well from a producer standpoint. People are reaching out to me. I'm getting more work from it because they're hearing these songs. So it's cool. But like at the end of the day, I just love seeing other people get accolades from stuff we've done together.
Yeah, it's awesome. One thing I wanted to say, so if so you don't take offense, but what I wanted to explain for like people who aren't producers, and maybe we could talk about this, I don't know, we might see this differently, or maybe we see it the same. I haven't really had this conversation before. But for me, when I'm like analyzing a song or hearing something for the first time, whether it's somebody I'm going to work with or I'm just listening back to something like we just listened to Abigail's song, like I make all sorts of comparisons in my head to other songs. And for me, there is no sense of like, oh, this is copycat or on the other side, just like, I'm not trying to copy somebody or anything, but like as soon as I hear a song, especially let's say an artist, like they walk into the studio and they have, here's my demo.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make, or my brain naturally makes lots of comparisons to other songs.
Yep.
And that becomes some of the seed for me of like what this could be. And it'll be wildly different things. So my first thought was like, oh, it could be like, it reminds me of Good Vibrations. That's only because I just made a cover of that song for 2 days. That's the only reason I thought of that.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, oh, it reminds me of this, and it reminds me of this, and it reminds me of this. And artists, I think, are the ones who can tend to can end up hurting their feelings if they're like, you just think I'm a copycat. And I'm like, no. Like, that's just like, there's, like they always say, there's only 12 notes.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to be the first song to do a driving 8th note synth bass, but we wouldn't be the first song to do a really esoteric, crazy bass line that is unobvious either. You're not going to be the first, but what you can do is come up with a whole lot of cool ideas. And so for me, references are like how I orient myself to the universe of this song. And sometimes that's because we're going to like push into those things. But we might also just bring it up to be like, I'm like, your song reminds me of St. Lucia, let's say. And they're just like, oh, I fucking hate St. Lucia. You're like, okay, so then how do we not be that then? Right. Because it's
references,
kind of going that way.
References can really be great and really horrible at the same time. I've done a really good job of kind of straying away from listening to things as references, even if I get them. At least till I get the track far enough along where I feel like I've created something already that I'm liking, and then I'll go to references and go, all right, what's going on in here? Is that a mellotron? Let's maybe throw a mellotron in here since they liked that track. Because I already like what's happening here, so I can only enhance it. that being said, I think as producers, we tend to fall into that trap really easily of going, well, this artist really keeps pounding this idea of I really like so-and-so, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny too, right? Because they're trends more than artists. I don't know if you've noticed this as a producer as well, but typically in a certain time frame, you'll get the same reference from multiple artists, and these artists are very different, right? So like when Charlie Puth released that single a couple years ago that everybody loved, with the bass line chorus, right? Everything I was hearing as a reference was like, what if we do everything drops out at the chorus and it just goes to bass guitar lick, right? And I can't tell you, I probably wrote 7 or 8 songs with 7 or 8 different artists that had bass line choruses.
So here's the funny thing. That doesn't happen to me.
Yeah. Well, good for you.
And
I don't know, look at Ryan over here.
because I can smell. No,
Yeah.
I mean, burn. I'm sorry.
You've already used that one, Ryan.
I know, but
You
I
gotta use a
couldn't-
different one. I don't know. Maybe not that one. I don't know.
Yeah, see, you got to think about what sound, okay?
I don't even
It
know
takes
what.
a lot
I don't
of
know what
effort
sounds are mapped to
to be
what
the guy
button.
who hits sounds fortuitously.
I only know what one button is.
I didn't even know this had a sound
He's
feature.
pulling his cock out.
That's the only button that I know exactly where it is.
God.
One day we will have an
You should put an
episode.
X on that button for sure.
We will have an episode called "He's Pulling His Cock Out" on one of these. You know,
For sure.
it's
yeah.
gonna come. Anyway,
God.
no. Here's why I don't think it happens to me. I'm a little jealous. I wish it did.
Don't backtrack now, Ryan.
No. Okay.
Own your arrogance.
I don't
Go
think
harder. No,
I mean,
here's
that's
why I
a
don't-
great thing.
Well, I don't think it happens to me
Because nobody goes to him to get production.
good and bad.
more.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't seen a client in 30 years. No, I don't tend to work with, and this is, I'm not saying you do either,
Yeah.
but I don't tend to work with people who are trend following.
Sure.
And I think that's because, I can only guess that it's because I don't trend follow. Because back in college, I'm not saying you do either, by the way. Mark Siegel doesn't do this. Mark Siegel's a fucking badass, you
The
guys.
episode of this title is
Yeah.
Mark Siegel, Trend Follower.
No, but like back in college, I had my professor, the guy everybody looked up to at school, at audio school. Obviously, it wasn't like a history teacher.
Sure.
He talked about like don't trend follow. It never works, and so that's just kind of become a part of my MO. And so I sort of wish, I think I need a few. I would be great if I had a few clients that were trend following, and if one of those hit and I made $1 million.
Well, what's funny, the best cure I've noticed, and I just might be in a moment right now, right? I have a handful of artists that are having great success, and I'm really amped about that because all of them that are having success deserve it. They work their asses off. They're
great.
very sweet, and they're all very deserving of it, and that's the best thing you can ask for, right?
And I'll say, I'll yes and that. Like I've met Abigail
Yeah.
very briefly.
Love that.
But she was also she was weirdly lived in the same apartment complex as our guitar player.
Oh, nice.
And so she was here at the studio for a minute doing a thing.
Cool.
And she was so sweet.
Yeah.
And then
Everybody that meets her says the same thing.
we were in Music City Mayhem together, and we were totally supportive, and she voted for us, and we voted for her.
Oh, nice. I love
and
that.
I follow her on Instagram, and so everything I've ever seen from her, I'm like, I like that girl. So
Yeah,
Abigail,
she's
if you're
great.
listening,
She
you
is-
seem like
yeah.
a really great person.
She is so great, and I'm glad we're kind of finding this success together. All that to say, the best cure as a producer for that whole reference issue is starting to get messages from people going, "I love what you're doing," because now you're all of a sudden a trend of some sort, right? So, and Abigail's a
Be
great
the
example
trend.
because as I started to see her music and production specifically start to gain success, like my social media inbox blew up with artists, couple management companies, labels, literally going, dude, love this song, saw you're the producer on it, really love what you're doing. And that's, I will be honest, it's the first time I as a producer was like, I'm going to just keep doing me. And
Yeah, that's so
focusing
good.
on these artists and going, let's just build a track, find something from scratch, spend time loving on the track and just making it and then trusting the track.
Yeah.
As opposed to going, should we make it sound a little bit more like Phoebe Bridgers because she's having a moment right now?
Yeah.
Right? And that's that's very much a thing. I mean, how many? You see this as a songwriter specifically. You know, I typically am writing 2 to 3 days a week, depending on how many projects I'm in the middle of producing. But for so long, I was getting like 3 writes in a row where artists will come in and they'll go, I kind of want to write something like Billie Eilish.
Yeah. You're like,
Yep, did that yesterday.
How did you come up with that very unique idea?
Right. Like, and I'm like, the reason Billie Eilish had a moment is because she and
She did
Phineas
Billie
did
Eilish.
really something unique.
Yeah.
And they became the moment. And I'm sure like Phineas felt the same way. Maybe not. Maybe he's just a genius and he was not having issues. He probably was like, I'm going to just do something different from the scrap, like from the beginning. I definitely went through a period where I was like, well, you kind of sound like this, so let me go listen to this. And then like, ooh, they're playing a guitar part arranged like that, so let's maybe do the same thing. For the past couple of years, I've gotten better at not doing that. But like I said, since I've been told, man, you really love this, what you did, you all of a sudden go, oh, maybe I'm doing something right on my own.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
then that
This
is the
episode is now
absolutely,
called
that is the
Mark
best
Siegel
cure.
owns the moment.
It's the best cure as a producer to be able to go, I don't need to go listen to what Oak Felder did, right? Because, you know, Demi Lovato's record is something in and of itself. And I love Oak. He's an incredible producer. That's why he's working with her. But like, I'm working with Abigail Osborne. Let's figure out what her thing is.
Yeah, 100%. And that's
The kick that he's using. I know in the world of Splice and all these like samples and stuff, we want to be like, well, let's get a kick just like that one. Just get the kick that sounds right for your track. And that may be miking up a kick in your room. Or it might be, in my case, I used miking up my dog's stomach and hitting it.
Really?
She's a big dog.
this
Right.
episode is
yeah.
now called Animal Abuse.
Yep. We wrote there's a song out on Spotify with Abigail as well called Spaceship, and I wrote it with her. And on the last chorus, there's a 4 on the floor groove, and that kick is my dog Piper's stomach.
Dude,
That's amazing.
That's
And
dangerous.
it sounds incredible. It's very like very tame and muffled. It sounds like you're hitting a
Right.
dog's fat stomach.
And I think we talked about this.
I just want to say
before the
that's really
show?
dangerous because he wouldn't be able to smell if it took a shit when he did that.
Yeah, nice.
Sorry, just gonna keep
yeah.
making fun of you.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, no, I think we had talked about this before we started, but you have a Burmese mountain dog. That was,
Okay, it's Bernie. She's not a snake.
Wait, is it really?
Yeah, Bernese mountain dog.
It's not Burmese?
No.
What?
No.
I've been
They are
wrong
from
my whole life.
Yes, as most people, as we take her out there.
I
like,
used to have a
she's
Burmese python. That's probably why I think that.
Very different. She's from Bern, the Bern mountain region in Switzerland.
That's why their dog group is
Very
called the
different.
Burners. Get it?
Now that makes way more sense. When you said that, I thought I was like, oh, okay, I see a little wordplay there,
Yep.
but it makes way more sense now.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Bernese
wild.
mountain dog. So to all listening, it is Bernese, not Burmese.
Yeah, I will never get this wrong again.
Yeah.
And I love dogs. I'm a big dog guy. We have a corgi.
Nice.
Very about the same
we've been-
size.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is we absolutely adore corgis, and I think corgis and Bernese mountain dogs together are incredible. I follow a Instagram dog influencer, I guess. It's, is that what we're living in?
Yeah.
It's 2 dogs.
I
and
follow
it's,
a dog.
It's bacon and toast, and one is a Bernese mountain dog.
And one's a corgi.
one's a
Is it a
corgi.
tricolor? Because we have a tricolor, so it's the same similar colors as a standard Bernese.
Yep.
But my
I'm
wife.
glad. Another informative moment. We'll get the little star for like informing people on proper
Dog.
enunciation of dog breeds.
But my wife wants a mountain dog.
Yeah.
I mean, she wants all the dogs, to be honest, and so do I. I'm gonna be real. I love dogs.
We foster. And when I say we, I mean Shannon fosters more. I come home and there's like 3 puppies.
Yeah, it's just like
She's
I
like,
say,
we're fostering again.
We dog sit a lot,
Yeah.
but really my
We do
wife
the same.
dog sits
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot. Like I just play with the dog when I want to, and
Yeah.
she takes care of it.
Yeah.
But that is one that we are.
I will say
considering.
they are absolutely worth it. And
Yeah.
everybody
Now it's gonna be a
that
couple
ever
of
sees them
years.
is like, they are gentle giants. They are lap dogs.
Oh, everyone I've met has been the friendliest.
They're
Just
all the
wants
same.
to be just cuddled
So
all day.
we're actually we're going out in 2 weeks to Breckenridge, Colorado for Thanksgiving. We just want to get out
that'll
and
be
get away.
great.
And we've gone
Just
before
yourselves?
with Piper as well, our dog.
Nice.
And they actually have the week after Thanksgiving, because Colorado, there's tons of Bernese Mountain Dogs because they're cold weather dogs.
Sure, and it's the mountains there.
They have a Bernese Mountain Dog Christmas parade.
Is Piper going to be in it?
Oh, yeah. This will be her third one.
Oh, wow.
There are 400 Bernese Mountain Dogs.
my
It is the
God.
closest thing to heaven on this planet. I promise you. It is incredible.
If you're a dog person.
No, like even if you are not, because here's what's happening. This is the best part. Here's what happens after the Bernese Mountain Dog Christmas parade. After it, there's a running of the drunk Santas.
Oh, yeah.
And there's about 200 drunk guys dressed up as Santa Claus, and they race. And this happens after the Bernese Mountain Dog Christmas parade. But people come from all over the state and, quite honestly, the country to see the Bernese Mountain Dogs just walk down the center of the road.
That's rad. I would do that. I'd go.
Incredible, because all the dogs are just going up to the people on the side, like getting pets. But back to your point, all of the dogs are the exact same. You won't hear any growling. You'll barely hear barking. Some of the males
Really?
will
They're
bark.
quiet.
They're loud when they will bark. Piper
Sure.
never barks. She only barks when she's playing. But they are not aggressive. They're actually like one of the top-rated dogs for when you have like babies. Very gentle.
Yeah. Corgis are very different than that. Corgis bark at everything.
Yeah,
Without fail.
That's little dog syndrome.
Yeah. And their bark is unnecessarily loud for how small they are because they're like this thick body. I just imagine that has something to do with it. I don't know. But he barks at everything that moves all the time, out the window. He just sits on top of our couch staring out the window, just waits all day for people to walk by so he can bark at him.
It's his favorite thing.
It is his favorite thing. It's wild.
That's such a little dog thing to do.
Yeah, he definitely and we made the mistake of, so we take him to Centennial Dog Park all the time.
Yeah.
And what I didn't know when we first got him was there's 2 dog parks there.
Yes.
There's a big dog park
And
and,
little,
a small dog. We didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I took him to the big dog park when he was like 3 months old.
I mean, there are little dogs in the big dog park.
True.
And I always appreciate
But he was
that
like
because
this.
Yeah.
And he was getting trampled by like huskies
Yeah.
and German shepherds, just running him over. And ever since then, like, he doesn't even want to play with little dogs. He doesn't like little dogs.
Yeah, most
He
little
wants to go.
dogs don't like other little dogs.
Really?
They always want to play with big dogs, I've noticed. And quite honestly, Piper, my dog, she tends to like little dogs that are older usually. She doesn't like puppy energy. Puppy energy is just annoying to her. She's
That's how
she's
Gimli, that's our
9
Gimli
years
is our
old,
dog.
so-
That's how he feels too.
Yeah, but she loves little dogs that are just chill.
Yeah, my dog is not chill. He's not
Well, they
chill
might
at
not get
all.
along then.
Yeah. But my dog also does this thing, not to keep it on dogs forever. I know you're just itching to ask me a question, but
You just want to talk about
I
dogs.
just want to talk about
and
COVID.
movies
I'll talk
and
about dogs all day.
parosmia.
I'm like,
Dude, you guys
I
are
didn't
like,
know we were going to be connected like this.
No, it's fine. You guys are just like, you're hitting on like Jury's things. Like,
yeah,
this is
I
his
love
life.
I love
Are you
dogs a
into-
weird amount.
Are you into like video games?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Okay, cool.
That's the other
where
thing
it
I'm
is. So
into.
back to fucking music.
But
We wouldn't have connected on anything if we didn't lose our smell. And we were like, man, we're like bros now.
You guys are like
No smell bros.
life.
No smell
You should be
bros.
friends forever.
Yeah,
I think.
for sure.
Until one of you gets your smell back,
Well,
and then
fully,
the
yeah.
envy.
And it's like,
I
sorry, man.
we're done here. No, but I was going to say my dog does this thing, which is the worst thing, and I cannot get him to stop, which is if we're like outside anywhere, he mainly just does this around our house where he's a little more protective, right? But if another dog comes by, and if that dog comes up and like to meet him, that's totally cool. He loves that. It's his favorite thing.
Yeah.
But if they don't, if they just keep on walking, he freaks the fuck out. Just snarling and like he sounds like he actually want to murder that dog. And then that dog, and then like those people are never going to bring that dog
Right,
over to meet
yeah.
my vicious corgi.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it happens
that's
all the
fair.
time.
Piper will, if you do not pet her and like you walk by her, she'll just literally be like,
This is unacceptable.
yeah, what just happened? Something went wrong. So she'll just follow you around until you do. And if she's laying next to you and you are petting her and you stop, she takes her head, which is a large head,
Bigger than your head.
squeezes it as hard as she can under your arm and then just
Yeah.
pushes it up to make sure that you get back on her to pet her. The problem is we a lot of times have coffee or drinks in our hand when she does that.
Yeah.
So we now have friends that come over and we're like serving coffee, and Piper will be on the couch with them because she's a lap dog, even though she's 90 pounds. And they're petting her, and I was like, I'm going to hand you this coffee. I just want you to be aware. And it's funny, you can tell dog people and non-dog people.
Oh, yeah.
Dog people can handle it. We had some friends over like last week.
Yeah,
and
they're ready to do
we're
this.
like, yep, they knew, they adjusted. It's funny, their arm went with it, and the drink went perfectly like this in the cup. Non-dog people, the drink goes everywhere. Everywhere. It's hilarious.
Man.
Yeah.
But it is crazy. Like when I was leaving, sorry, I'll let you get to your question. I promise I won't keep saying dog things. But when I was,
I'm into it. I like it. I'm a dog person, man.
Yeah.
Jerry, no, it's fine. Our show is okay to go on tangents.
obviously, but so when I was leaving the house to come here today,
Yeah.
my wife she left. She's in a play, so she's like went to some rehearsal, and my dog was just like chewing on something. And he's a 30-pound corgi, like he's a tiny dog. But I was just looking at him, and I was just like, I was leaving the house, and I was like, it's weird that like I'm just leaving this wild animal just like in my house. All the doors are open.
Yeah.
Like he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
I know he's gonna choose not to.
Right.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
He'll eat my socks every time. That son of a
see.
bitch. I have a hole in every sock I own. So I wear flip-flops.
Yeah. It's
But,
a bad quality in a dog.
But that they chew things, literally everything.
Yeah.
No.
See Bernie's Mountain Dogs, they don't typically chew anything. We don't have any toys, like Piper's toys from when she was a puppy. They're still intact unless a foster dog got a hold of it.
Oh no, Gimli's a murderer.
No, they do not. Ironically, Piper has only chewed up one thing in her whole life. She's 9 years old, and she chewed it up when she was a puppy, and it's very ironic. It's before we got our house, but we were in our apartment at the time, and she chewed up into a picture frame, and the picture that was in the frame was of the dog I grew up with.
Oh no!
It was a little Cocker Spaniel that was still alive at the
That's
time.
not
my territory.
It was my
That was-
parents' dog.
Yeah, that was purposeful.
Yeah, it was a little picture of Madison, the dog I grew up with, this little Cocker Spaniel, and it was torn up on the floor. And I was like,
That's
"Do we have a
incredible.
murderous dog?" Yet she's a gentle giant.
No,
that's
Corgis
amazing.
chew, or at least our Corgi chewed a lot. He's gotten better now.
Well, that's good.
He still
We're-
chews socks.
We are
but-
continuously revolving around the theme of envy in this show. And I don't know, maybe we need to embrace it. That movie earlier was called Envy.
And that's right. Yeah.
It's come up several times. I've let him pass, but I just have to say it at this point because when we're talking about this, the dog is showing envy. Mark, what can we do about envy?
I actually, believe it or not, to segue back to music, I think that there's a healthy place for envy as a producer, as a songwriter, as an artist, if you know how to manage it. I'm very much, because we do live in this world of social media, and it's really hard to like just be okay and like see other artists doing really well.
Yeah.
That's hard. It ruins your mental health as an artist and all that. But I do think if you learn how to know what you're good at and know that you're good, and it's okay to be envious of other people. There are plenty of producers that I'm like, man, they're so good. And that's something I've had to work on, is just being okay going, man, that's really good. I hate that guy, but that's really good, right? You know, and it's, I think there's something really healthy about that, because it challenges me as a producer too, to go, not that I want to be better than that, but I want to see like, man, he did something to get to this place, or he did something to figure this track out and do something really cool.
Dude,
and
I was
that's
feeling
totally
some of
okay.
that healthy envy listening to
I
your
appreciate
track.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so good, and I don't think I don't have any problem telling other people that they're good.
Absolutely.
And I think
there's something very healthy about that too, is actually going as an artist, songwriter, producer, musician, going, dude, you are so good at what you do. And even going like, that was one of the first things I started to tell people when I moved down here. I moved down here literally, I graduated high school and came down here and was like, I'm going to figure this out. And then I started touring as a musician, and I started getting asked by a lot of people, friends of my parents, just like people going like, especially when I started like touring at a significant level with artists that were doing well, it was always, what's the secret? How do you become how do you get picked up as a musician and as a touring artist? And the first thing I always started to say was realize and be okay with that you are not the best, and you never will be. Nashville specifically is one of those towns where it's like, dude, the guy that's homeless on the corner of the street down there playing guitar, he's probably better than you.
That's actually,
It's
I
true.
tell people, so I mean, I'm
There's
not
so much talent.
like, I'm not a musician, so to speak. I'm not like trying to be a musician or anything, but I do play guitar. I'm a guitar player.
You look like you play guitar.
Thanks. Was it the hair?
Guitar or
But
bass.
guitar or bass, yeah.
The flip-flops kind of make it more bass.
That's the San Diego thing.
yeah.
But
It's like you guys don't follow trends, but I'm seeing a trend over here of some sort of
We're both vaping and wearing
Yeah.
flip-flops.
same flip flops too, exactly identical. But but I always like to tell people, I'm like, look, in San Diego, I'm a great guitar player. In Nashville, I've never seen a guitar in my life. Like I don't even know what guitar is.
Absolutely.
Like it's just not the same
Yeah.
ballpark.
Yeah.
And now I didn't come out here trying to be a musician. I just came out here because this is a cool city.
yeah.
But like, if you are trying to become an Irish musician and you think you're good at guitar, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah.
You're probably wrong.
And that was the key. I kept saying, like, if you can come to terms with the fact that, look, there's nothing wrong with going like, I want to be the best. I get there's some
you
there's
should
some
feel that way.
that is a great attitude to have. But you also have to realize that you probably won't be the best.
Yeah.
And even when you think
Yeah.
if you're being told you're the best,
They're
and I'm
lying to
dealing
you.
with this right now as I'm like being told with a lot of these projects, having success in this and being like people going, dude, your stuff is killing right now. I'm trying to focus on going, that's not what matters. And I have to remember, if you can be okay with understanding that even if you're being told you're the best, that you're probably not, that the guy on the corner of the street is probably even more talented than you, that's a key factor to figuring out like who you are as a artist and a creator. And then figuring out, what do I have that's unique? It was, for me, the word was always approach as a musician first. If I was trying to go out on tour, I wanted to bring something to my instrument as a player that was unique, that made it mine. I play every instrument like a producer, right? Like I can play everything really well to a professional level. Guitar, bass, drums, keys. I now score full-on orchestra stuff for film trailers, and I never even learned how to do that. It's the idea of going, I want to have an approach that makes people go, I like what he's doing. And that's the same thing as a touring musician was like, I kind of like the way he plays. I like the way he holds his guitar. Little things like that matter. And that's what gets you hired. You can be the best shredder here in town, but if you don't know how to play with the rest of the band, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just started to realize like it wasn't about being able to rip the best solos on your instrument. It's about having an approach that makes you as a player unique.
Well, I think what helps me is like listening to your track earlier. I'm genuinely happy that you have a dope fucking track that sounds great.
Yeah.
Because what pisses me off is shitty tracks that are like super, that are either just like super copycat or just reduction or just very, very basic or just like not done well. I hate hearing it. I hate hearing music not be done well.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a problem I have a lot being here in Nashville. And I think any market would be the same.
To be fair, it'd be weird if you did love that when music was done poorly.
Well, I think there's probably a certain kind of person that like could be stoked that if you brought a shitty track, I could be stoked and be like, "Oh, my tracks are good," and I'm like, that I'm a good person now.
Yeah.
But rather, like, I hate when I hear people do a shitty job, and then I hate it even more if somebody does a shitty job and it's super successful. That's like
you
the
hear it on
double
Top
whammy.
40 radio.
Yeah. So for me to hear something that like what I like about that track with Abigail, and by the way, we need to get to another track in a second. But what I really liked was it sounds very commercial and approachable, like in a way that I could hear, anybody kind of just loving that song. And I could like if it was played on the radio, if it was played in a big movie or whatever, it would make sense. It sounds like of that quality and it's catchy, and you'd be like, oh yeah, of course that song because it's so catchy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound shitty. It doesn't sound copycat. It doesn't sound so much top 40. You're just
it's a
like,
low
dude,
level
why is this
compliment, huh?
popular? This is so simple, or whatever. Like, it's so well done. And I just think for me, it's like I'm on team great music.
Sure.
And so when great music exists, and then you're my friend, and then you're sitting across from him, I'm like, dude, thank God he didn't play something that I think is garbage. Thank God you're playing something that's awesome.
No, I appreciate that, and I do think we're coming back to a place in music where great arranging and great musicianship is important. I think people are hearing that.
They're evolving.
They're
It's
evolving.
like I Am Legend.
But we're also in this weird period right now in the music industry specifically where the title producer has gotten very blurred.
Oh, yeah.
Because we now write songs that need to sound like the day one demos used to just be a work tape of a horrible recording of acoustic guitar and a vocal. And then it would get taken into a studio and then spent months developing that song and that track and like figuring out what that needed to be. We're now in this place where if you don't pump out a radio ready production demo on day one, the song's never going to get cut. And it's really frustrating as a songwriter to have to spend, if you're the tracks guy, and this is where the line gets blurred, right? Because we are in the age where a producer can build a really dope track in his bedroom just with a laptop, nothing else. And there's some I'm not saying there's no talent there. There's absolute, like, if you can do that, that's a killer talent. But that doesn't make you a producer in my mind, in my opinion. A producer back in the day didn't even touch the computer a lot of the time, right? They were
Back in the day, there wasn't a computer.
well, back in that day, they weren't touching the laptop, right?
Depends which day we're talking about.
But a producer's
March 3rd, 2003.
ultimately, the producer was putting the right team together, right? The right musicians, the right engineer, the right mix engineer, the right mastering engineer, for the song. And now a producer's like, I built this beat in my bedroom. Write something to it. And again, that is a skill, and it is a production skill. But record producers should be spending time with their artists, getting to know their artists and who they are as people, who they are as creators, and figuring out, like, what does this sonically sound like? And that's really where I feel like I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out who I am as a producer. I want to figure out who you are as an artist. I want to spend time together figuring out what does that mean sonically? What kind of instruments make that branding you?
Now,
So is the distinction there, if I were to put it into words for a layman, I'm not a producer, someone sitting in their bedroom on a laptop is making a song, making a beat or a track or whatever, but you're actually producing people.
Yes.
Is that the
product.
is that the thing? Is
Yeah.
that it's more about
Because
the
don't get me
people-
wrong, there's an element of creating a really dope beat or element of the song production-wise that is important.
Right, but that's a different thing.
Exactly. And I think that's a part of it. But real, true record producers are spending a ton of time figuring out what that artist's, like, sonic branding is. And I've just tried to, like, figure out what the best solution for me as a producer is for artists in my studio to do that. How far, like, do I push? And then when do I get out of the way? Right?
No.
And there's a beautiful balance to that of going, something's happening right now. I'm going to step out of the way. I'm not going to say anything. Even though I know there might be a better way to do this, I'm going to step out of the way and go, let's let your artistry and your brain, how it's wired, do its thing. And then I will be a facilitator of what that is.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So, in my journey of over time trying to be a better producer, I think I've wrestled with, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but just like figuring out how to work with people. I think it's really challenged me at a lot of times. And it was really helpful back I used to have a manager. Back when I had the manager, it was nice because she would be with me for most of the sessions. And we would work together, and if it was a good day or a bad day, whatever. But on a bad day, like I'd be like, fuck, they were being like this, or they were being like that, and I said this and they heard that or whatever. And for me, there's just been a lot of times where we'd have a conversation about it. She's like, well, when you said this, that felt harsh. Or when you said this, it was like that. And it's challenged me with people skills, essentially. And so a lot of times, just over the years, I've spent a lot of time thinking about how to interact with humans in a way to get a good product, to get good music. So like what challenges have you faced?
Yeah, that's a key element of being a great producer.
It's being a psychologist.
It really, and I say this all the time, like songwriting sessions, especially here in Nashville, songwriting sessions are therapy sessions, right? We go into some deep stuff.
Yeah.
And even if the concept isn't yours, you are constantly pulling from other people. And as a songwriter, especially as a producer in a songwriting session, you're constantly spending the whole time trying to pull the like deepest stuff. Like, let's go deeper. Let's go deeper into that lyric. And it's exhausting creatively. So you really do have to learn how to be a great conversationalist, to be able to go, I can facilitate this conversation. I also know when to get out of the way.
Like when people are talking about dogs.
Yeah.
Or losing their scent.
Yeah, you did such a good job of getting out of the way of that
get the
conversation.
fuck out of
Honestly,
here.
Ryan, I would say one of your best qualities is getting the fuck out of the way.
I mean, it's honestly, and I truthfully believe that is such a
Real quick,
brilliant
I want to show
quality.
you guys my second best quality.
He's pulling his cock out.
That might be your worst quality.
Oh, you didn't like it? Go on. Go on about your serious
I
art
think
talk.
You're like,
Yeah,
sorry, I aggressively derailed you as hard as I could.
I'm going to
but-
just leave. This is a terrible podcast.
I just watched this documentary.
He's in the middle of a
I
sentence,
know.
Ryan.
This is controversial as shit. I just watched this documentary called What is a Woman? You guys heard about this?
No.
I've heard a lot about this.
It's
I probably don't. I truthfully tried to not.
be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he had several interviews where people walked out on him and that they showed it. I'll just summarize by saying, I think the documentary is worthwhile. I don't really like the guy behind it.
Matt Walsh.
Yeah, I'm kind of out on him. But I think they did a good job of the documentary and it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying about like people skills. Are you supposed to like stop them in the middle by pressing buttons? And is that
Definitely
good?
not. That's definitely step one of the like recovery process.
That's a bad people skill. Okay. See, I'm still learning.
I think there is a huge value to learning how to push people's buttons in the right way,
Yeah.
to get valuable stuff from them, and also help people figure out like the right way to say certain things. So that's what songwriting is as an art. Like, what is the most artistic way to say this? And then how can we, clarify it so that the general audience understands it? That being said, if you were to ask many people, specifically my fiance or my manager, and this is actually a great testament to who my manager is. She is very much a people person. She goes to every event. Everybody that ever meets her loves her. And this goes for my fiance as well, by the way. I am not. But in a songwriting session, everybody I work with, and even in just like business in general, I'm a very personal guy. Like I will go deep with you. We will discover anything about anything through each other. Like honestly, I am very open in songwriting sessions. But you ask me to go to like some big music industry event, it's an immediate no. My manager will be there though.
Yeah.
And that's the funny part. Like she very much fills that void in my business, right? She she's in LA, but she very much brings a lot of business because people like her and meet her and then discover me and go, oh yeah, we'd love to work with him. So it's funny because there's these like two very different sides of my personality where I'm this guy in a songwriting session that can be very easy to talk to, and then like you put me out in public and I'm like, I don't want to be here. It's just really interesting. And that might be just who I am as a creative, but I think I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to really relate with people regardless of what their upbringing is, what their beliefs are, what their religion is. It doesn't matter. To me, you're another person, and I want to understand you at your core. And that's if you want to be a good songwriter, understanding your collaborators at their core is key.
Yeah. Now, have you ever had like a bad day producing where like things where it didn't go well? Like, what are some of the lessons you've learned? Like, what have you learned to do or not to do to work with your clients, like in that journey of trying to figure out how to get somebody to find their sound and to become who they could become? What have you learned?
Well, and I think because that journey is more than just about me, it's more than just about them. It's about like what's happening in the room at that moment. There's always going to be days where things just aren't clicking, and that's okay. But there's something about like pushing through that and then realizing we can come back and rediscover this. I've gotten really much better over the past couple of years at this, being okay with something not clicking one day and shutting it down and going, let's just approach this one other day and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I've seen some magic happen from that.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's magic when you come back? Or if it is?
I mean, as a producer, but like fresh years is great. To step away from something and then come back, especially from mixes and even productions, like I'll think something is shit one day, I'll come back the next day and it's great.
Yeah, and that's something that translates.
I almost deleted that yesterday.
Yeah.
Just fresh years is brilliant. And I think that's an important thing to be able to do as a producer, is disconnect from your ego a little bit.
But that whole, like the concept of like stepping away from something to get fresh eyes, like I think anything that's like
it's fresh ears as a producer.
Ears, sorry.
Same thought.
In my mind, it's eyes, but because like I work as a software developer for my normal job.
Thank God we don't need a fresh nose for that one, eh?
Yeah, thank God.
The 10,000th smell joke.
and
let's
like,
tell Mark what he's won.
not a goddamn thing. But
everything will smell like garbage for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But I'll find like it's obviously a very different thing. But like I'll be staring at like a coding problem, like something is happening that shouldn't be going this way, and I'll be staring at it and working for hours and hours and hours. Sure. And I'll just be like, "Fuck this! I'm walking away," and I just fucking just go somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'll come back and I'll solve it in 5 minutes.
Yes.
And it's crazy how our brains work that way.
Yeah.
Like you almost need to let your brain restart.
Yes.
And that's a real hard lesson to learn at times, because usually you want to work harder and just go for it.
Well,
and finish it. You're like,
as an artist and as a creator, you'll put something down and you'll be like, man, that's not good. And you're pissed at yourself that you did something that's not great. And that's what I started to realize was I stopped deleting those things. And I started leaving them in the session. Even if I just mute them, I'll come back tomorrow and I'll listen and be like, yeah, that's like rough timing wise, but it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And it creates this whole new vibe of the track.
That's almost like
those are the magic things.
job.
But that's why music back in the 70s was so good, because you didn't have these moments to multi-track all these different things, right? Like things happened in the moment.
You know who's really fucking diving into that? Me. You were supposed to say it.
So is there
wasn't clear
with
enough.
that? Is there? So do you think that those more in the moment things create more character?
That's what
more
art
uniqueness.
is. Yeah.
Right.
Art to me, like art has to happen in the moment, and that's back to the point of this question. In those moments where I'm working with certain artists, it's okay if it's not happening in that moment. We have more moments together. We don't have to figure it out today. I don't care if the deadline is tomorrow. If the deadline's tomorrow, we'll come back tomorrow. If it's not happening right now, It's not happening right now.
Can't
We
force
just did
it.
that today. I'm working on a country record right now with an artist, and we wrote a song that's a really brilliant song, but we wrote it in a day that we were like really kind of struggling for it a little bit, and we knew it wasn't like fully done. But we're now in the process of recording her record, and it's coming out great, and we know the song is super cool, and the track now that I'm like taking it to the finish line is even cooler. And it made us all go, oof, we need to work on the bridge and the pre-chorus lyrically, because it's a really tongue-in-cheek song. It needs to be very clever. And while what we have from our initial session is good, it's not there yet. And we don't want to just settle.
Yeah.
And we sat there today for a while trying to figure out like one line in the pre-chorus that we just needed to fix. And we couldn't figure it out. And I said, just put the placeholder down for now, because we've got a couple months. We're going into the studio next month with musicians. Let's take our time, and we'll figure out the lyric in the time and in that moment that it happens. It doesn't have to happen today just because we're trying to get the vocals done. So I've become much better at trying to like take my time and let art happen.
Yeah. Okay. Several things. One, I said some arrogant shit earlier as a joke, and then you took off with it.
Yeah, of course.
You tangented me.
Obviously. Obviously, if you say any arrogant shit, I'm going to call you out and make fun of it.
Oh, no.
I don't.
You didn't. No, you didn't call me out.
Okay.
I just hate. I hate when you start telling a story and you're like, you open with like and then somebody like runs within a different direction.
That's my specialty.
Yeah. And I'm like, bitch, I was going to say a different thing. This was the start. So here's bringing it back. I was talking about how I've been using tape machines. And what I wanted to say is, what I've learned is, as soon as you can't see the music anymore,
Yeah.
you just start letting some things go.
Yes.
And it's to the point of what you were talking about, of like when you can, like when we look at the screen, we can see the grid.
Yeah.
And we can see that what we
every
did was
instrument and what it's
imperfect.
doing.
And sometimes you can't hear it because you can see it.
Right.
And so anyway, I think the tape machine is a really cool way to stop being so perfectionistic, but I bet there's other ways. Have you found any ways to kind of to let it go? Like I feel like some people turn off their monitor. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean we're also in the age, right, where all of the like analog gear is digital now. Like plugins are so good. But it's been really interesting. I've been gravitating towards plugins that screw things up.
Yeah.
More so than plugins that clean things up. So I've been more recently taking like, because I really do love audio engineering. I love a well-tracked drum kit. I love a well-tracked guitar. But then I like going in the box and using plugins to make things sound weird.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being like, all right, let's get the compression right. Let's make sure it sounds huge. I'm using a lot more plugins that just kind of screw up what I've done. And that creates some more of that magic.
Do you have any like favorites?
Recently, I've been loving the Waves Lo-Fi. I think they gave it away for free or super cheap.
Oh, cool.
It's, like, it's a lo-fi little like tape, verb, and delay. It's very abrasive. Very abrasive. Every setting. Even if you dial it back to like 2%, it's still abrasive. But it hits like there's like a plate verb in there that's just really metallic sounding, as it should be. And it just kind of ruins tones in a really cool way. I've also loved Plugin Alliance has a plugin that is a console emulation. I think it's the Focusrite one. And it's got this like random button that selects different channels. And each channel just sounds different because it's emulating different circuitry. And it just affects, it's very minimal. Most people won't be able to hear it. You probably would. Any like producer, anybody that's super into audio probably would, but it's just weird things that happen when you put an instrument through circuitry.
think that's one of the interesting
That
things
is what tape does.
about what we do.
Yeah.
Is if when you talk to people, I wonder if you agree about this. So everybody, any audio decision you talk about, what microphone, what any gear, any move of EQ, anything you talk about, really, every step of the audio process, you can always say, and everybody will say like, yeah, but at the end of the day, will anybody ever notice that? And
Yes.
the answer is always no, they won't.
But they really will. That's the thing. It's the accumulation of all of those things make for something that's generally better. And they won't be able to consciously see that or feel that or hear that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they'll know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, sorry.
Well, and
I didn't mean to steal it
I
from
think
you.
that's why we do what we do, right?
Yes.
Is because we have spent time studying what we do to make those decisions, because we can explain why our human ear wants to hear those things or see those things from a visual perspective.
But that's a tough thing. Like I've learned not to have this conversation. But when I was starting out, you would have a conversation with an artist and you're like, we should go to this cool studio or we could go to this cheaper one, but we should go to the cool one and here's why.
Yeah.
And nobody can have that conversation and walk they're just gonna be like, but will anybody know? And you're just like, well, if I'm being honest, they won't know.
Yeah.
But it does all matter. At the
Right.
end of the day, it does all matter.
Yeah. I think the most valuable thing, there are certain gear perspectives that are valuable, right? Like a really nice mic does make a big difference. But at the same time, like I've got buddies that will send me a track and I'm like, man, that acoustic sounds so good. What'd you mic it with? And they're like, an SM7. And I'm like, of course he did. It's like a $400 mic. But I'm using a $6,000 mic and my guitars don't sound as good. What the heck? Some of that matters, but I think the most valuable thing as a producer to invest in, collaborators, mix engineers, mastering engineers, musicians. And I've tried to make that a part of, like, even with artists that if I know that I'm not going to profit on this record, if I have a producer budget that's very slim, if I believe in the song, I will absolutely spend all of that producer budget on a musician that I love, a mix engineer that I love, and a mastering engineer that I love, because it'll make a better product. That's what makes music great, is collaboration, in my opinion. Yes, you can pump things out yourself. That's not a problem. There are some talented people that can do it all. I never mix my own stuff. I work with several different mix engineers based on the song. But at the end of the day, like for me, the value in what I spend money on are collaborators more so than gear. I've spent tons of money on gear. I've got it. And that matters, sure. When I upgraded my vocal mic, yes, the vocal tracks got better, but the mix still matters at the end of the day. And I will spend money on a good mix engineer, even if I don't have it. If I go in the hole on it, if I love that song, I'll spend money on a good mix engineer.
Now, we are coming up pretty close to our wrap-up time here. But before we do, there is a very important question that we have for you.
Really?
Does it have to do with parosmia?
It doesn't. And actually not even slightly related.
Wow.
But sorry, I was like staring at you there because I was like, normally you jump in right here and like say something, but you're just staring at me silently. So I'm just gonna slowly continue going with it.
Yeah, we have different. You have a question. You have a question for him?
What are you doing? No, but there is.
Tell me more.
We don't really have like obviously we talked about beforehand like we're definitely a.
While you develop this question, I'm gonna pour a little bit of bourbon.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
To get through this question,
yeah.
what is this question?
Yeah. What is?
It's a 17-parter. No,
Okay, let's go.
but
Is this something you prepared or?
we don't. So obviously we don't really ask a lot of specific interview questions, but we do have one question that we ask every guest who comes on the show.
And it's how did you lose your sense of smell?
And weirdly, most people are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yes.
And then we just end
We
the
don't
show.
understand this.
But
It's finally going to pan out,
ironically,
I
it'll
think.
work out really well here. I feel like we've been building up to this moment for a long time. No, but we do have one question that we ask everybody.
Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
Does this question have a sound effect? What? You're not. Oh. Oh wait.
Wow.
You have a sound effect prepared.
This better be a good question.
Okay, so if you had to choose. Ryan?
I think.
I'm going to sit here staring at him until you do your part.
Why are you asking if he had to choose?
If you had to choose.
I don't know. There's no imperative.
I don't know how to do this question by myself. It takes two of us.
What's weird is you say you guys ask every guest this, but it's taken like 10 minutes to get to the actual question.
I don't know that there's any reason he has to choose. I don't think it's like he has to. I think he could choose to choose. Does that
I'm
make
sorry.
sense?
This is you. It's probably so dumb, but
Does this happen with every
done
guest?
this once.
You
Not
get
like
for
this.
talking about dogs that long.
we have done this like 60 times. No, but if you had to choose,
If I had to choose.
And you do.
and you do.
Okay.
Okay, so hold on. Okay. We'll bring it back.
Yeah.
The important part about this question.
Now. I'm here now, puppy.
The important
What's happening?
you have to be
right
like
now?
you have to be like you have to have been here for every single episode to understand what's happening right now. But
And I would feel weird that like there's probably a lot of people who are listening right now and don't know.
no, they listen to every
But
episode.
no one listens this far into the episode if they're not serious.
Well,
They've
we
heard
definitely
enough
lost them at either the parosmia or dog conversation.
I think we lost them at a special guest. Like tonight on a special
Yeah,
episode
yeah,
night.
they're like,
fuck
like,
you.
another special
You think
episode.
your episode's so special? Fuck you.
No. But if you had to choose,
And you do.
and you do. No, not yet.
Right.
The important part about the quote. So what I'm. Here's the thing.
Is there ever going to be a question?
Not without an explanation. There's not.
With this question, what's important is that we need.
It's a good time to refill your drink if you want.
We need an answer from here.
Okay. Your chest?
No. For the podcast listeners, I'm pointing to my heart.
Okay.
We
We gotta
actually
come from your heart.
Yeah, it must come from here, not from here, not from your head. But if you had to choose,
And I do. I know.
thank you, and you
Thank you.
do.
Thank you.
What would you say is your favorite kind of turtle?
What kind of question is
Quick answer.
chocolate?
Interesting.
Actually, I want to revise my answer. Cooter.
Okay, hold on. First of all, chocolate turtle. We've asked this question like 60 times. We've never gotten that answer.
Nestle makes a chocolate.
Yeah.
It's almond clusters
Wait. Okay.
called turtles.
Yeah. No, I've had a chocolate turtle
Oh,
before.
okay.
I've just never
But big fan of the cooter.
Okay.
And
First,
now you got to explain that.
I'm so confused because I thought chocolate was a complete
Wes, help me out
throwaway
here, bro.
answer.
Yeah, Wes is Googling it.
But I gotta say that if you legitimately meant the candy turtles,
That's a great
brilliant-
answer.
That's a great answer.
Ironically, I don't eat them a lot, but I don't really like other turtles that much, so the line's pretty low.
Why do you hate turtles?
I don't hate. See, I didn't say I hate turtles.
But
In
I
fact, I
felt it.
told you I like cooter turtles.
Yeah, and let's get to that part. What is a cooter turtle?
It's a turtle with a really cool name. Because,
Wes, can you? Oh, he already got it. There we
there
go.
you go. They're fat.
Oh,
Are
get
they
us zoomed
larger?
in on one of those bad boys. Okay,
He's
and
like,
their
"I'm working
name,
on it."
cooter turtle.
Their names.
So how did you become aware of the cooter turtle? It sounds sexual.
I'm from New Jersey, man. We made stupid sexual jokes when we were kids in high school. So I learned that there's a turtle called that.
Is it native to New Jersey?
No, I don't know where it's from.
It's a turtle. Let's
Yeah.
go to the Jersey Shore. Is that kind of your childhood?
Yeah, pretty
Oh,
much.
it's just like kind of like your standard looking turtle.
It looks normal.
I don't know. Look at that face, though.
The face one is a
Yeah.
good pick.
That is absolutely
That-
my personality in a turtle right there.
The cooter turtle.
Okay.
Not bad, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
That's
that
actually
was-
not bad.
we only
No.
spent 10 minutes trying to get to that.
That was
question.
two separate unique turtles.
Yeah,
to
I
the
gave you
show.
two
So the thing
turtles.
is, we get a lot of box turtle. We get a lot of snapping turtle.
So pretty much
Right.
basic turtles. That
Basic
everybody
ass
knows,
turtles,
yeah.
right? And sometimes we get a sea turtle, right? Someone who's seen Finding Nemo.
How about ninja?
That's the other. We got ninja twice, I think,
People trying to
which
be
is
funny.
right. It's pretty good. Never chocolate.
No.
Never cooter. I didn't even know that was a kind of turtle.
Well,
I mean, we're not turtle experts.
you're welcome.
But we've asked like
Man.
60 people what their favorite turtle
Mark
is.
Siegel, you are truly owning the moment.
Are you just saying
Try.
that again to reiterate the fact that we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
use that as our title?
Yeah, I think I might.
You guys, we're back to the title of Envy. Right, yeah.
But before we get out of here,
Ooh,
I
a
know
double
we have another song we want to play on the way out, which sometimes we just play it, but I feel like given that you're not the one singing and playing it, we need a little more explanation than that.
yeah. Kind of, it wraps everything up really great, actually. But just another one of the artists that I've really loved working with over the past couple of years is this artist here in town named Mena. She's got an incredible voice. And we have written and released a handful of songs for her as well. But this is one song that's doing really well. I wrote it with her and another writer here in town that's doing really well named Lauren Hungate.
Real quick. When you say the title of the song, you're going to want to press that top blue button.
No, we're not pressing it. I think we've pressed it enough. I'm going to explain the title of the song because I think it's one of my favorite songs that I've ever written because I think it's clever. It's very tongue in cheek. The production again is very fun. And it's actually a really quick song, but the day of that write, Mena and Lauren had started talking, and the original concept was we all like chasing adrenaline. So the original title of the song was called Ode to Adrenaline. Not as cool. The final title of the song is called Sex in Public. And we wrote this song very fast. And ironically, from a production standpoint, the demo pretty much went to the finish line. I had some final drums and stuff put on it, but like it was one of those things that it was a magical moment that day. We all kind of laughed at the concept of like sex in public. We're going to write about that. And it was the chase of we all like doing things that make us feel alive. So we also just started listing out things that we like to do. Swimming in thunderstorms, riding motorcycles, just like random things that make you feel somewhat alive. And then I was working on building out the track a little bit, and I heard the girls laughing behind me, and I was like, "What's up?" And they were like, "Sex in public." And I was like,
That's
"Yeah,
it.
title." And we all settled on it. And we finished it up. We all loved the song, and everybody that we seemed to show the demo to, everybody was like, dude, that's a brilliant song. It's well written. The production's fun. And so we just like put it into hyperspeed, finished it up, sent it off. And once again, she put it out. It got on a ton of different playlists, and it's been sitting on, actually today, it hit 1 million streams.
Damn.
Yeah.
Today?
Today.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, wrong button. Wrong button.
I shut that shit down real
Yeah.
Hold on. Everybody hold for the proper button.
There we go.
1 million streams.
It hit 1 million streams today.
Yeah, congrats.
And thank you. And it's just a song that we're all really proud of, and it's been sitting on a playlist on Spotify that it's funny, I've gone to a couple like public places and have heard it because they play this playlist. And the playlist is called Young and Free. and it's been on there for like 3 months. It's only been out for, I think, 3 or 4 months, but it's been sitting on there, and people seem to love it. I've gotten a handful of messages about it from a production standpoint, but also from a songwriting standpoint, and it's just something we're all super proud of.
That's awesome. Okay, well, we're going to play that in 1 second. Where can people find you on the internet?
Just my name.
Or in person as well.
Yeah. I'm not going to give you my address. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, all that garbage. Just by my name, Mark Siegel. MarkSiegel.
That's awesome.
MOUSE.
Like Bugsy.
Ironically,
Turns out I'm related to him somehow.
we had an artist. Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
We don't talk about it in my family for obvious reasons, I guess. But
I think it's been long enough.
Yeah. We recently, ironically, had an artist on who did give away their address on the show.
Nice.
But we have a bleep out button, and they held it down, and in our ears, it cuts off the sound.
Right.
So you're like, ha, 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 no one can hear it. Well, little did I know, in Pro Tools, it doesn't cut off the sound. So I put the episode out, and live on the internet was his address.
Oh, no.
But thankfully, I listened back to all of our episodes the day they released just to kind of recap and kind of learn what's working and whatever.
Yeah.
So I heard the address, and I'm like, oh, shit, and had to like drop everything I was doing, edit it out. And I messaged him like, do you need me to take this down immediately, or is it okay? Give me 2 hours and I'll have the... Anyway.
You know what you're going to find when you listen back to this episode? What doesn't work? Is you abandoning me on the turtle question for like 10 minutes. Dear God.
I felt very proud of that moment, actually.
I was not ready for that.
Given some of our off-air conversations, I think it was warranted.
I don't know what you're referring to.
And I can't say because they were very off-air conversations.
Love that about you guys.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
I'll tell you after. But I just wanted to say this. Wrapping up, Mark Siegel, your productions were friggin' dope.
Thanks, man.
You're a great producer. It's amazing. We met each other on the road as you were a production manager.
I was a production manager on that, and that was something that I think, it's really interesting because I've had to do many things in this industry to make a living, and I never wanted to just stick to one thing. I know I'm good at certain things, but I knew I could utilize all these different things to create who I am as an artist, creator, and just person overall. So, we met on a tour. I was production manager on that, and you came out as a videographer.
And I was a video.
Yeah.
So you were a production manager. I was a videographer. Yeah. But tonight we connected as producers.
Yes, we did.
Our
I love
real
that.
thing.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think you're real talent, and anybody out there who's listening, who likes what they're hearing, should work with you. And we're going to listen to Sex in Public
Sex in Public by
But
Mena.
anyways, sorry, I was gonna do the outro.
Yeah.
I gotta do the outro.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, as always, thanks for listening in. You guys are awesome, and this is Sex in Public, and as always, we will see y'all next time.
Rush, burn up in my veins, let loose in my brain. Can't touch oxy or cocaine. Don't need a gateway, 'cause I've got addictive personality traits. Once I start, it don't stop. Once I go, I can't control my pace, 'cause I'm a junkie soon as I get the taste. So I'm mostly keeping green the lane.